Ever since I was a young lad, I've loved solving my problems with violence. Minor disagreements escalated directly into physical assault is something of a forte of mine. Say I were to, I don't know, find some kind of disagreeable comment on one of my videos. Just hypothetically, of course. I would then, hypothetically, track down that person and subject them to a Waffle House style beatdown, the likes of which is only discussed in whispers in high school restrooms. Hypothetically. As you might have guessed from my poor manners, short temper, and low attention span, it was none other than the influence of video games that set me onto this warrior's path. The moment I first held that Nintendium brick in my hand as a wee bab, neural pathways in my brain were opened. From that point, I knew that violence would always be the answer. But surely, you must cry, it couldn't be the innocent Mario who led me down this path. It couldn't be. Look at him. This is a man of laudable character. Note the bulbous nose that suggests non-violent conflict resolution, the mustache that implies a love of peace, and of course the overalls that proclaim, I willingly comply with government officials, and would never initiate some sort of violent strike against the state or its peoples. No, dear viewer, it was not Mario who led me to the life of a Ronin, a lordless samurai in search of ever greater foes to face. There is only one man who could have instilled within me the idea that physical strength is a moral imperative, and that anything I am strong enough to grasp with my own hands is mine by right. The only man on this earth that I would bow to as my superior. Okay, jokes aside though, I've loved Wario since I was a kid. I grew up watching a lot of Popeye, so having a big brute of a man who plowed through his foes and righted perceived wrongs his own way was really appealing to me. You know, Mario jumps on people, Yoshi eats things, but Wario destroys things with pure muscle and strength. The first Wario Land was one of my favorite games as a kid, and I've always loved the Wario Land series. I think I might actually do a big video where I review every single Wario game ever released at some point in the future, but I'm not here to talk about that right now. Maybe you've heard of SMBX. It's Mario Maker before Mario Maker, and aside from accessibility, it kind of thoroughly embarrasses Mario Maker as far as features go. Today, we're going to be talking about a level pack created in this engine, one pretty heavily inspired by those pretenders who claim to carry on Wario's legacy. I'm joking, of course. I really like Pizza Tower. I didn't play that other one, though.
Yeah! Here I go! You're gonna love it.
Wario and the Tower of Garlic is a level pack for SMBX 2.0, created by Darkonius Mavakar. It's a quickie, at only 10 stages plus a bonus level, but each stage has a bunch of collectibles for you to grab to stretch things out a bit. And honestly, the levels can get pretty long toward the end, so it's not that short. The game begins with Wario out cruising one night, sunglasses on, of course, until he spots a tower in the distance. I have to say, I fucking love this scene. Look at him. The pinnacle of masculinity and power. Peerless. Magnificent. Wario, being the utter conquistador beast that he is, cannot tolerate the idea of a building that he has not thoroughly ransacked. Doing what any of us would do, he parks his car and goes off to make it someone else's problem. I think as far as stories go, like throughout human history, you've got the Bible at number 1 and Wario and the Tower of Garlic at number 2. Now, despite this being pretty obviously a Wario Land 4 inspired hack, he controls a little bit differently than in that game. Obviously, you can't have a Wario game without the shoulder bash, but you can now use it in midair for a little boost in height, something the level design frequently takes advantage of. I really like this little addition. He's got his dash that you have to build up, that also become incredibly iconic in recent years, and of course, the ability to annihilate foes with your rear end. Conspicuously absent, though, is the ability to heft your enemies into the air before pitching them at the nearest wall, much like a little brother while wrestling is on the TV. I assume this is a limitation of the engine, which is fair enough, and while I obviously miss this vital part of Wario's arsenal, the game doesn't really suffer for it. A select few areas even let you use Wario's injury states, which is pretty cool. They're pretty few and far between, but there is a later level where you spend a pretty considerable amount of time as Bouncy Wario. It's pretty cool. Using these abilities and your wits, you must guide Wario through 3 different floors of the assuredly pungent tower, each with 3 levels contained within. These are, frankly, beautifully crafted. A real joy to look at and crash your way through, usually with some great piece of music lifted from some other game. The selections are pretty great, though I don't think I've played any of the games that they come from. I enjoyed pretty much every level on offer here, aside from some troubles with gimmicks that didn't operate in a way that was particularly clear. But really, the level design is a treat, and I was rarely, if ever, left wondering when a stage would finally end my suffering, which is a recurring issue I have with a lot of platformers that have long stages. As you'd probably expect based on many of the Wario copycats to be released lately, each stage ends with a frantic escape section you have to navigate, and I really enjoyed the lot of these. Wario is fast and controls well enough that you really get to feel like a badass when you do them right. On that note, the sound design is also really good, with plenty of Wario voice clips and sounds taken from older games thrown in to help you really feel like Wario. As far as aesthetics go, this level pack has gotten everything down pat. I especially love seeing some old Mario Land 2 and Wario Land enemies return. The giant house level is so good, probably my favorite. Now, this latest of Wario's adventures is not without flaws, unfortunately. Aside from the wonky gimmick I mentioned earlier, the final boss is, we'll say, hectic, although not so difficult as to be a real roadblock. I would have maybe just cut his health bar down a bit, or maybe included a way to deal a ton of damage to him if you do the right thing at the right time. I guess with Wario being unable to throw things, the options for boss designs get narrowed down significantly. It's hardly worth getting into a fuss over, though. What I can't forgive, on the other hand, is the game forcing you to grind out money to unlock the bonus level. There are a lot of things to spend money on here, like increasing Wario's health bar and unlocking a fun collection of fan art. So it's a real bummer that the game also wants you to stock a bunch of it, and I mean a bunch, to unlock the final level. I have to admit, I couldn't be asked.
Sorry.
My apologies. I enjoyed the game a lot, but not enough to replay levels over and over again just to grab coins. Wario will have to save up on his own time, I guess. Anyway, Wario and the Tower of Garlic is really cool. I didn't totally blast rope over it or anything, since I'm more of a Wario Land 2 and 3 kind of guy, but it's definitely worth the time to set it up and play through. I mean, it's not like we're going to be getting an actual new Wario Land game anytime soon, and honestly, with the way Nintendo has been going, I probably wouldn't want to buy it anyway. As always, there's a download link in the description below, and I've also included a link to the installation guide. It's not like it's too bad, just slightly more work than the usual ROM patching you'd be doing with my videos. You should really give this a shot, and I'd love to hear what you think about it, especially from people who are more familiar with newer Wario likes. Well, unfortunately, we're already to the part of the video where I say, this has been Torvis, there are more videos on the way, and I hope you have a rotten day. God bless. And there. That'll fucking teach you.